with Verena Franz from Grand Aids. And Verena, it's been a month, 6 weeks since I've talked to you, so good to have you here. Good to have you in live instead of just on the phone.
That's
so welcome.
true. It's been a while. It's really good to see you in the flesh.
Yeah, all right. And even though technology is great, being here is even greater. Election coming up tomorrow, and a lot of people either getting phone calls, getting bits of information in the mail going, oh, this is junk, I'm on the list where you don't ring or you don't send me anything. But how officially is that? Is that considered spam technically or not?
It actually is not. I was surprised myself. So if you have any questions about electoral communication or information, there's a big government website called aec.gov.au where you can read all the details about this. But basically, any electoral information does not fall under the Spam Act, and the Do Not Call list that you can put your phone number onto also does not protect you from calls or like political party calls. But I don't really think they call people much any longer.
I think it's usually the robotic calls, but I always found it hilarious that the two types of phone calls that were exempt from the Do Not Call register, one was politicians, as we're talking about, and the other is charities. And in my mind, I'm like, these are the two groups of people I don't want calling me.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a bit weird.
But it is what it is.
Yeah, so even though you might feel like it is spam, if officially you can't really do anything about it other than
ignore it.
Hanging up. Yeah,
exactly. And sort of slam that button shut.
Yeah.
With a lot of election stuff happening on social media, that is very much a thing these days. So that's where our tech and our devices really come into play. There's a lot of information out there, some of it legitimate, some of it a little bit, hang on, where did this come from? So we can get into all sorts of trouble by clicking on stuff that's a bit outrageous, can't we?
Also, yeah, so two things about that. First of all, if you have a tendency of reading particular articles or like really outrageous things, you're basically going to get more of that same thing. You're going to like fall into like what is called a bubble of that sort of information. You might feel like, oh, I'm only getting ads or only seeing the campaign of this particular party, nothing of the others. And that's because they've seen you've shown interest in that direction. So they're targeting you hard. And the other ones are like, oh, we've sort of already lost and we won't like spend money on that person any longer. So I find it quite important to also look outside of social media to look at what all the parties are actually having in their plans and not just what they're telling the other ones aren't doing or doing badly. Like you look what the parties are actually, what they themselves are going to do. And I know your friends and family have probably strong opinions and share things, but also look at what they're sharing and where that is coming from. So be a bit savvy about sources. If you see something outrageous, I guess we also laughed at Scott Morrison falling over that child at footy or something. I mean, yeah, that is also like a news source, but all the memes and things about it, don't make your own opinion and check if the sources are really just there to discredit someone. Where does money come from? Always follow the money.
Well, the two things that, yes, you are working in reverse that, yes, things that can be at the outrageous end, probably not giving you enough real information to make your own decisions. But again, as you mentioned, getting into that cycle, it's the algorithms working in the background that'll give you more of this and less of this, because it is always amazing that when you start looking at a particular type of thing, whether it's elections we're talking at the moment or anything else, all of a sudden your social media will just get flooded with very similarly worded messages.
That's very true. And also beware that there's this broadcasting blackout period now. That means that election ads cannot be broadcast on television and radio from the end of Wednesday before the polling day. So
I would say that many people are glad that there is that little bit of a breather in your traditional media from election information. But of course, social media newspapers, you can still... That's
very much
true
that they're still going, for sure.
All right, Verena, we'll probably all be glad to be done with it. But again, particularly with that spam stuff, politicians and also charities, they're not considered spam. Do not call register. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming in this week. We'll do a little bit more tech in a fortnight from there. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks, Mark.
That's Verena Franz from Grand Aids with our No Sweat Tech today on 2NURFM 103.7.